have people attempted to take you out?
On many occasions, yeah. On a few occasions I know people have tried to. I know people who will be watching this and are friends and plan to take me out and think I don't know. I'm just laughing at them. I'm laughing. I shake their hands still. Because I know they ain't got the arse right because they know what fucking happened after. But I know I'm on them. And what they don't realise, I'm on yous. You know what I mean? I could have them all fucking sorted out now. But why? They're no threat to me because they're not going to do no harm to me because they ain't got the fucking balls.
When were you first sent away?
I was first sent to, sent to preschool when I was about 12 years old.
So that's 72?
72, yeah.
And what was that like?
Well, it was pretty rough to be truthful with you because they was pretty violent towards you, the staff in the in preschools in them days. And plus you had to fight in them days to look after yourself because there was no human rights laws in them or anyone protecting you. You have to protect yourself.
So do you think approved school was a mistake?
Yeah, I think what they should have really done is tried a method of rehabilitating me or prevention, which I was never given any of that. I was just heavy-handed by the police because when I was a young kid, the police would beat you up, which they did. Your father would beat you up for getting in trouble as well. Then you go to the preschool and you're getting beat up in there off the staff who's running the place. So you come anti-social and anti-government, anti-police and everything because everyone's attacking you from each angle.
We featured the murder of 55-year-old Paul Massey, who was shot 5 times outside his home in Salford on the 26th of July. Well, tonight we can exclusively reveal a very significant reward is now being...
What is happening YouTube? It's JME-TV here, and today we're diving deep into the life and death of one of Manchester's most notorious figures, Paul Massey, also known as Mr. Big. We're going to explore his early life, his rise to power, and the tragic end on his very own driveway. And then finally we'll have a walk through Agecroft Cemetery to his grave and discuss the man who was convicted of his murder. Let's get started. Paul Massey was born in 1960 in Salford, Greater Manchester. Growing up on a rough estate, he quickly learned the harsh realities of life on the streets in Salford. Massey dropped out of school at a young age and he started running with local gangs. It wasn't long before he made a name for himself in the criminal underworld. So currently, we're in Salford at the moment, where Paul Massey's story began. In the 1970s and 80s, these streets were his playground and his battleground. Massey quickly rose through the ranks, known for his street smarts and his willingness to use violence to get exactly what he wanted. By the 1990s, Massey had established himself as a major player in Manchester's criminal scene. His operations extended to protection rackets, drug trafficking and other illicit activities. But he wasn't just a thug, he was a strategist and always stayed one step ahead of Greater Manchester Police. He was known for his ruthlessness, but also for his ability to evade capture. The police struggled to pin him on anything, or anything substantial on him, and his reputation only grew. To some he was a villain, but others in Salford, he was kind of a bit of a local hero, I suppose, like a bit of a Robin Hood figure. In his later years, Massey became more than just a criminal. He was seen by some as a community figure, and he actually even tried running for mayor in Salford back in 2012. Despite his criminal background, he had significant following. People respected his influence and the way he could bring order to the chaos of the streets of Salford. As I've been walking through these streets today, it's pretty clear that Massey left a lasting impact. He knew how to navigate the fine line between fear and respect, and that made him a powerful figure in this community. But on July 26, 2015, Paul Massey's life came to a violent end. He was shot multiple times outside his home, right here on his driveway. This is the very spot where Massey was ambushed. It was a brutal attack carried out with military precision. The shooter waited for him to arrive home at around 7:30 at night, and as Massey got out of his car and was walking towards his door, he was gunned down in cold blood. The murder itself shocked the community and made headlines across the country. Many speculated about who could have done such a hit, as Massey himself had tried to stay back and stay away from the criminal life that he'd once led back in the 80s and 90s. There was lots of speculation of who it could be. All around Manchester, the news was buzzing, but no one heard a thing. The investigation into Massey's murder was intense. It led authorities to Mark Fellows, the hitman known as the Iceman. Fellows had a reputation for carrying out hits with cold precision. Mark Fellows was eventually caught after a thorough investigation. Evidence included GPS data from his Fitbit, which placed him at the scene of the crime, which is right here. It was a piece of meticulous detective work that just brought him to justice. In January 2019, Mark Fellows was found guilty of Paul Massey's murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The trial revealed the cold-blooded nature of the attack and brought some closure to those affected by Massey's death. When he was shot on the driveway, I don't know if you can see from here, but there is some bins behind the fence. But back then there was no fence, there was no doors. It was just an open driveway. So the shooter came in and went straight up the drive as he was getting out of the car, and he gunned him down in a hail of bullets. I think he first shot him in the ankle and he fell into the bin, fell onto the floor. Then Fellows came over and then unloaded some more bullets into him, unfortunately, and Paul Massey died at the scene. So what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to go across to Agecroft Cemetery, go and have a walk through and go and see Paul Massey, Paul Massey's final resting place, and we'll talk a little bit more about him there. So guys, so now we're in Agecroft Cemetery, where Paul Massey was laid to rest. His funeral was, I remember it on TV actually, it was absolutely huge, attended by hundreds of people. So you can just imagine down this road there was just lines and lines of cars. Where he got killed, on his driveway in his house, I actually lived at that time on the next road away, and I remember the police being there and it was blocked off for days. I will put some pictures on so you can see what it was like, but yeah, I do remember that, and there is a reason why I've wanted to do Paul Massey today. It's his anniversary this week, so it's 9 years this week, I think, or next week, is it? This week, I think, since he was killed. Now, what happens is with people of Paul Massey's generation, these gangsters, a lot of them were loved by the community, hated by the police and hated by their enemies. And, you know, I personally believe every good person has bad in them, and every bad person has good in them. And I read a lot of things about Paul Massey at the time that he did try to change his life around. You know, he was running for mayor, as I said, and he, you know, despite his criminal past and what he was involved in and the nickname that he got, I think he did try to make the wrongs right. But the problem is, when you're involved in that life and you do the things that he did, it does come and bite you later on in life, no matter what age you were. I think he was around 55, I think, at the time, something like that. So he would have been 64 now, but you know, it's a shame. You know, I think it was a little bit too late for him to change, because even though he wanted to change, the people who obviously he had problems with or he hurt in the past, they never forgot. And you know, it unfortunately it ended like this. So I believe Paul's grave is up here somewhere. So when Mark Fellows was caught, he was arrested, and then, you know, I think he got sentenced to life without parole. But it's so peaceful in here, and it's a stark contrast to the life that he led. The thing is, it's always a way as well that he was a family man. He had people that loved him. He had people in the community that loved him. He had a loving family, and ultimately they had to pay the price on their own doorstep for whatever he was involved in. But, you know, so I believe we're coming up to his grave here. So here we are at Paul Massey's grave. It's a simple headstone, but it marks the final resting place of a man whose life was anything but simple, I suppose. Massey's story is a blend of crime, power, and as I said, it's a complicated legacy. He was loved by a lot, hated by some. And standing here, it's not to think about the duality. It's hard not to think about the duality of his life. Yeah, he was a criminal, but you can look here on the pictures that he was also a father, a grandfather, a community figure, and he was a man who inspired both fear and loyalty. And one thing's for sure, no matter what, he definitely left a void in Salford. Even so, now it's been 9 years, and his story continues to be a topic of discussion. I suppose Paul Massey's life and death are reminders of the complexities within the world of organised crime. He was someone who walked a fine line between respect and fear. After visiting his home earlier and grave, it gives us a glimpse into the life of Mr. Big and the mark that he left on Manchester. Even now, Massey's influence is felt in Manchester. People still debate his legacy, trying to reconcile his criminal activities with the positive impact he had on parts of the community. We can talk a little bit about his influence. Massey wasn't just a local thug or anything like that. He had a network that extended far beyond Salford. His ability to manoeuvre through the criminal underworld was almost legendary, especially through the 80s and 90s. Some viewed him as a Robin Hood figure. That's what I was trying to get at before. And while others saw him nothing more as a ruthless gangster, I don't really see it like that, but that's what people thought. Well, some people thought. I've spoken to a few people and their stories paint a complex picture also, and some people remember him for his generosity, helping out families in need, while others recall the fear he instilled in people. But I suppose that's what makes the story of Paul Massey more intriguing. And personally, organised crime has always had a complicated relationship with the communities it always exists in, and on one hand it brings danger and violence, but on the other hand it can bring a strange sense of order and even support. And I think Paul's life exemplifies this paradox. So there's a lot more you can find on YouTube about Paul. I'm not here to judge the man, whether he was bad, whether he was good. I didn't know him, but ultimately he's paid the price for whatever it is, and he deserves to be at peace now, I think. So rest in peace, Paul, and I hope your family are at rest, at ease, and you're at peace. So guys, that was a brief history of Paul Massey, the life and legacy of one of Manchester's most notorious gangsters. Hope you enjoyed it. So I think now, guys, I'm going to have to wrap this one up, but thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share these videos. And if anybody has any suggestions of where they want me to go next, if there is anybody that you want me to do, whether it's true crime, whether it's a celebrity, whether it's, you know, anybody, I will go right across the UK. So you guys let me know and comment below. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. Have a good one.